Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about why are the people at your table, at your Dungeons and Dragons table, and I want to look at this question through the lens of Severance, both seasons. Spoilers for all of the Severance series here, and I want to look at it specifically through understanding the motivation of Helly R. Okay. All right, so let's not bury the lead. Let's get right to the point. What is so there's this pod, right? Um, there's this pod of workers. Mark S, okay, Dylan G, Irving. What's Irving's last name? I don't remember. Irving, and then Helly R. Okay, so basically, and each one of them has their own distinct motivations for working at Lumen on the severed floor. Okay, so let's consider that our Dungeons and Dragons game, okay, that our Dungeons and Dragons campaign is the Lumen severed floor. Okay. Right. So at that point, once you take that into account, then then you have to look at why each person is there. So we've already talked about Dylan. Dylan was motivated by perks. Okay, Dylan was motivated by perks. What is Helly R motivated by? Why is she on the severed floor of Lumen? Right, she is there to break the system, to break the game. She wants to destroy Lumen. She wants to destroy the severed floor. She does not want to be there. She doesn't want anyone there. She actually mocks the work directly to Irving, which is very upsetting to Irving, to Mark S, which is threatening to Mark S because she's not doing any work, and so he can't hit his numbers. He can't complete Cold Harbor, right? And she's like, oh, you're just an idiot, Dylan G, because you want finger traps. How ridiculous. You're actually motivated by finger traps. And she's putting her nose up at all of it. And she is trying to destroy Lumen, destroy the severed floor, and destroy severed work altogether, right? She's completely against everything there. That is her motivation. And you're like, wait a second, Scott, why would nobody like that's ever been at my table, right? I've never had somebody who wanted to destroy the Dungeons and Dragons game. So first of all, if that's the case for you, you're very fortunate. But that is not the case for most Dungeons and Dragons dungeon masters. I have definitely had Helly R at my table, right? I have had same player, who runs away from every single adventure idea that I have, runs away from the group, right? Oh, I'm a lone wolf. I don't need you guys. Oh, I don't like that. My character doesn't care about that adventure hook. Oh, I know the rest of you guys want to do this adventure, but I'm going to go over here and just sit in the corner and do nothing, right? And very much is there to break the game. And you're like, well, wait a second, Scott. Why don't you just kick him out? He's a bad player. I don't get rid of bad players. I don't throw bad players away. Okay. And the reason why is why not, Scott? Why wouldn't you just be like everybody else? Why wouldn't you be like every other dungeon master? And why wouldn't you definitely be like every OSR and indie saying, remember everybody, carefully pick these precious people you'll find around you. Only the perfect artisanal pickling, Brookhaven, Brooklyn artists should be at your table, right? Like, I don't believe in that, right? I believe that Dungeons and Dragons is a human improvement engine. So I want broken people at the table so I can use Dungeons and Dragons to fix them, right? I don't just kick out bad players, right? And I know this is all the rage. Hey, everybody, only the most precious angels should be playing at your table, right? I call bunk, right? If you got a bad player, fix the player. Don't get rid of them. You suck if you do that. You suck as a person if you do that. Dungeons and Dragons is for fixing people. It's not for fun. It's for fixing people. We're here. We're in the second 50. We don't have to pretend anymore, right? We don't have to pretend that the greatest thing we can do with Dungeons and Dragons is chop another goblin in half. We can chop our own deficiencies in half. We can fix people with Dungeons and Dragons, right? And that's why we keep bad players. That's why we don't throw them out. And that's why D&D is incredibly valuable. One of the most powerful, valuable things ever, right? So this is important. This is very important to understand this. Okay. All right. So this is real. Like, you have to understand that you very well may have people who sit down to the motivation, right, to sit at your Dungeons and Dragons table is to break the table, to break the campaign, to break D&D, right? Now, why would this be, right? And I think that's worth looking at. There's a lot of good reasons, right? There's a ton of good reasons. One, people can arrive at your table angry. They bring themselves and they bring their worlds, right? And some people, like I think it was Alfred in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. Is like, some people want to watch the world burn, right? But why would you want to watch the world burn at a D&D table? Well, that's the best place to watch the world burn, right? Everybody there is charismatic, confident, and intelligent. And if you can and it's a challenge to break them, right? But some people want to do it. They really, really, really want to do it. They want to break the people. They want to break the campaign. They want to break Dungeons and Dragons itself. Oh, Scott, are you sure about that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go look at Professor Dungeon Master. Go look at Roll for Combat. Go look at Ben from Questing Beast. Go look at Bob Worldbuilder. These are all people who would love to see the Bane Batman spine break on D&D. They desperately want Dungeons and Dragons spine broken, right? They despise the fact. Every single one of those creators. Oh, I assure you, Dungeons and Dragons sucks. It really sucks. Bad writing, bad layout, bad art. Esper the Bard, he said that literally most of the pages in Dungeons and Dragons are pulp, right? Brutal, savage. Like Greg Glicker over on Roll for Combat despises Dungeons and Dragons, despises it. His entire channel is a D&D hate channel, right? Unbelievable, right? And what's wild is, but they have a problem. They have this huge problem. I assure you, Dungeons and Dragons sucks. It's so bad. Oh, you're pointing at this OSR indie game that is better, right? But it's not even on FLGS shelves, right? Like Shadowdark. Well, every single one of those people would take the mic. Let me sing you a karaoke song about the wonderful things of Shadowdark. So much better than D&D. Let me do my second bridge. Right? Just sing oh, but wait. I have a millionaire who owns an FLGS. That book hasn't never been on their shelves, and it's not there now. And there are a lot of games that are like way less successful than Shadowdark. All their books are printed right there on the shelf, but Shadowdark can't print, can't get on. Shadowdark cannot get its books on FLGS shelves, right? And so they have this problem when they're like, I assure you, Dungeons and Dragons sucks, right? Then they point at some OSR and indie, and it's garage store junk, right? Can't even do the basics of business, right? Kelsey Dion, brilliant tabletop role-playing game, horrible business person, cannot get her books on FLGS shelves. We're 2 years out. There's huge demand for the game. You can't find it anywhere, right? And every OSR and indie they point to, right, is like this. They're like, I assure you D&D sucks. And you're like, well, but why does it outsell? I mean, by a massive margin. Why are there companies lining up to do intellectual property crossovers with D&D? Why does D&D continue to not just outperform, but get new successes that Kelsey Dion can't even spell, right? Like, she ain't nobody gonna do a Shadowdark Lego set, right? Like, the Minecraft movie that drops in April, that's a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Minecraft, literally all of Minecraft is an official D&D setting, right? Like, D&D wins in ways these guys can't even spell. They don't even understand the amount of win that is happening. It is phenomenal, right? And so they desperately want D&D broken. They want D&D, they want Dungeons and Dragons destroyed. And frankly, were some of them saying D&D be gone a little while ago, literally saying the same words that the Satanic Zealots said, literally saying Dungeons and Dragons needs to be destroyed and all the books need to be gone. some of those guys, am I wrong? Were some of them actually calling for people to delete their D&D Beyond accounts so that the books would be destroyed exactly the same way the books were destroyed in 1983? I think that's an interesting question, right? And this is my entire point. This is my entire point. People want D&D broken, and they want the tables broken, and they want the players broken, and they want the campaigns broken. You need to understand that this is a very real motivation. And you're like, well, what's the fix? Don't kick them off your table. Win them over. And I'm not saying it's easy to do. I had a huge. I had this one player. He played in no less than 10 of my campaigns, right? Not a joke, right? I play with the people who are in my physical proximity. My games are real, right? And that means I deal with real problems. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.